Hello and good day to you. This is Miss Grace and we will be tackling about elasticity concept. So let us know what elasticity means. Elasticity is defined as the ratio of the percent change in one variable to the percent change in another variable. This refers to the degree of sensitivity of demand and supply for every change in price or non-price factor. It measures the responsiveness of the change in quantity demanded or quantity supplied for every change in its determinants. It is usually computed using the formula point elasticity method and arc elasticity method, where the epsilon sign stands for elasticity, then P stands for prices, and Q is quantity demanded or quantity supplied. Note that in the succeeding concepts of this unit, we are going to use arc elasticity method. There are two types of elasticity, the demand elasticity and the supply elasticity. Demand elasticity measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded for every change in price or non-price factor such as income and price of related goods. And supply elasticity measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity supplied for every change in price or non-price factors such as price of inputs and price of competing goods. As of this point, let me note that for every value of elasticity, derived determines a corresponding level of sensitivity or responsiveness. It is termed as degree of elasticity, which are as follows. When E is greater than 1, it is said to be elastic. That means the percentage change in quantity is higher than the percentage change in price. The other way around, if the percentage change is quantity is less than the percentage change in price, the result is less than 1 and the degree of elasticity is said to be inelastic. As for unit elastic, when E is equal to 1, this happens when the percentage change in quantity is proportional or equal to the percentage change in price. In the situation where there is no percentage change in quantity while there is percentage change in price, it is said to be perfectly elastic and the value of E is infinite. And if the value of E is 0, it is perfectly inelastic because in this situation, there is a percentage change in quantity but there is no percentage change in price. Note that all elasticity coefficient values should be positive. Negative signs are omitted by taking its absolute value. The said degree of elasticity could also be illustrated graphically. Here is a graphical presentation of demand and supply curves under different degrees of elasticity. If it is elastic, you will observe a more flatter curve. If it is inelastic, it is way steeper. This applies to both demand and supply curves. Perfectly elastic and inelastic demand looks like this. Perfectly elastic demand curve shows a horizontal line because as stated a while ago, there is no change in price. That is why the demand for the product is infinite. While for perfectly inelastic demand curve, it shows a vertical line. An example of perfectly inelastic demand would be a life-saving drug, or which we've known as health maintenance drug, that people will pay any price to obtain it. Even if the price of the drug would increase dramatically, the quantity demanded would remain unchanged. Another product that could be considered close to perfectly inelastic is the LPG. As for the supply curve of a perfectly elastic supply is also horizontal. When the supply is perfectly inelastic, an increase in demand can still be met even without any change in price. Then, the supply is perfectly inelastic if the supply curve is vertical. The supply is fixed and cannot respond to the change in demand. Moving on, as mentioned in the preceding item, demand elasticity is subclassified into three. In this unit, we will discuss price elasticity of demand, income elasticity, and gross price elasticity. Price elasticity is the responsiveness of consumers' demand to change in price of goods sold. Income elasticity is the responsiveness of consumers' demand to a change in their income. And cross price elasticity is the responsiveness of demand for a certain good in relation to change in price of the other related good. These are the formula to be used in computing different classification of demand elasticity. Remember that we are using the arc elasticity method. The difference in the formula of income elasticity is we will use the percentage change in income. Price elasticity of demand. So, it measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded for every change in price. Since price and quantity demanded are inversely related, then the value of its elasticity is negative. Since we have noted earlier that there shall no negative elasticity coefficient, then we are going to take its absolute value. Consider the following as the demand schedule of good A per week of Professor X. Determine its price, elasticity coefficient, and the degree of elasticity it corresponds using the arc elasticity method. The result is 2.4. Since it is greater than 1, then the type of elasticity it corresponds is elastic. It means that the quantity demanded is highly sensitive for every change in its price. Therefore, we can analyze that for every 1% increase of price, quantity demanded will decrease at 2.54%. The second classification of demand elasticity is income elasticity. Note that the value of income elasticity coefficient could be positive or negative, which also determines the type of good it corresponds. If the coefficient is positive, then the goods are normal, and if it is negative, then the goods are inferior. Note that before you take the absolute value of the coefficient, if necessary, determine first the type of good it corresponds. Let us consider again the demand schedule of good A per week of Professor X with the amount of income it spent on the said good. Determine its income elasticity coefficient, type of good, and the degree of elasticity it corresponds using the arc elasticity method. As of this given data, the result is negative 1.15. Then we can say good A is an inferior good. And since we need to take the absolute value in order to know the degree of elasticity, then good A is said to be highly sensitive to a change in income since 1.15 is greater than 1. It is elastic. Therefore, we can analyze that for every 1% increase of income, quantity demanded decreases at 1.15%. Let me add this simple illustration of a normal good and an inferior good. Example, when Professor X will take a snack and has two options that is suited to his budget of 15 pesos. The options are banana Q and a sandwich. Between these two, banana Q is the inferior good and the sandwich is the normal good. Why did the banana Q became the inferior good? It is because Professor X may choose sandwich over banana Q, and it has lesser cost in relation to his budget. Now, when the income increases, there is a tendency that the taste and preference of an individual may change. It may happen that Professor X choices of snack may change between sandwich and cheeseburger. Now, the sandwich became the inferior good and the burger became the normal good. Okay, how about this normal luxury good and this normal necessity good? How can we identify them? Let us bring back the option of buying banana Q. Since it doesn't mean that if your income rises, you will now disregard the option of having banana Q as a snack, then the banana Q will be known as the inferior good. Why? Because this is the least option. Then the sandwich become the normal necessity good. Why? It is because you need to take your snack to ease your hunger. Then the cheeseburger will be the normal luxury good. It can also ease your hunger, but this option leads you in purchasing a much higher price of good. Okay, let us move on to the last kind of elasticity, the cross price elasticity. This measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded for every change in price of its related good. The value of cross price elasticity coefficient could be positive or negative, which also determines the type of good it corresponds. If the coefficient is positive, then the goods are substitute, and if it is negative, then the goods are complement. Similar to income elasticity, before you take the absolute value of the coefficient, determine first the type of good it corresponds. Let us consider again the demand schedule of Professor X on good A per week with the price of its related good, which is good B. The result is 0.99. It is less than 1. Then, it is inelastic. It means that the quantity demanded for good A is less sensitive for every change in price of good B. And since the value of the coefficient is positive, we can say that goods A and B are substitute goods. Finally, down to the last topic, elasticity of supply. It measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity supplied for every change in its determinants. In this unit, we will only consider price as its factor, thus we have price elasticity of supply. Price elasticity of supply measures the degree of responsiveness of quantity supplied for every change in price of a particular product. We can only derive a positive elasticity coefficient in this type of elasticity since price and quantity supplied are positively related. Consider the following as the supply schedule of good A per week of Mr. Seller. We need to determine its price elasticity coefficient and the degree of elasticity it corresponds using the arc elasticity method. Since on the given data, the result is 2.75 and it is greater than 1, then the type of elasticity it corresponds is elastic. It means quantity supplied is highly sensitive for every change in its price. Therefore, for every 1% increase of price, quantity supplied will increase at 2.75%. And that ends my discussion about elasticity concept. Stay tuned for more discussions about basic microeconomics. Thank you for listening and have a good day. Bye bye.